Prophecy and prescience. How can they be put to the test in the face of the unanswered question? Consider, how much is actual prediction of the waveform as Muad'Dib referred to his vision image, and how much is the prophet shaping the future to fit the prophecy? One of the harmonics inherent in the act of prophecy. Does the prophet see the future, or does he see a line of weakness, a fault or cleavage that he may shatter with words or decisions, as the diamond cutter shatters his gem with a blow of a knife? From Private Reflections of Muad'Dib by the Princess of Rohan. "Get their water," the man calling out of the night had said. And Paul fought down his fear, glanced at his mother. His trained eyes saw her readiness for battle, the waiting whip snap of her muscles. "It would be regrettable should we have to destroy you out of hand," the voice above them said. "That's the one who spoke to us first," Jessica thought. "There are at least two of them. One to our right and one on our left." "Signoro Robosas Ugaris in Chavez Amaras Nabes as Lily Robas." It was the man to their right calling out across the basin. To Paul, the words were gibberish, but out of her Bene Gesserit training, Jessica recognized the speech. It was Jacobsa, one of the ancient hunting languages, and the man above them was saying that perhaps these were the strangers they sought. In the sudden silence that followed the calling voice, the hoop wheel face of the second moon, faintly ivory blue, rolled over the rocks across the basin, bright and peering. Scrambling sounds came from the rocks above and to both sides. Dark motions in the moonlight. Many figures flowed through the shadows. A whole troop, Paul thought, with a sudden pang. A tall man in a mottled burnous stepped in front of Jessica. His mouth baffle was thrown aside for clear speech, revealing a heavy beard in the side light of the moon, but face and eyes were hidden in the overhang of his hood. "What have we here, jinn or human?" he asked. When Jessica heard the through banter in his voice, she allowed herself a faint hope. This was the voice of command. The voice that had first shocked them with its intrusion from the night. "Human, I warrant," the man said. Jessica sensed rather than saw the knife hidden in the fold of the man's robe. She permitted herself one bitter regret that she and Paul had no shields. "Do you also speak?" the man asked. Jessica put all the royal arrogance at her command into her manner and voice. Reply was urgent, but she had not heard enough of this man to be certain she had registered on his culture and weaknesses. "Who comes on us like criminals out of the night?" she demanded. The bruised hood had showed tension in a sudden twist, then slow relaxation that revealed much. The man had good control. Paul shifted away from his mother to separate them as targets and give each of them a clear arena of action. The hood had earned Paul's movement, opening a wedge of face to the moonlight. Jessica saw a sharp nose, one glinting eye, dark, so dark that the eye without any white in it, a heavy brown and upturned mustache. "A likely cub," the man said. "If you're fugitives from the Harkonnens, it may be you're welcome among us. What is it, boy?" The possibilities flashed through Paul's mind. A trick, a fact. Immediate decision was needed. "Why should you welcome fugitives?" he demanded. "A child who thinks and speaks like a man," the tall man said. "Well now, to answer your question, my young wit, Wally, I am one who does not pay the water tribute to Harkonnens. This is why I might welcome a fugitive." He knows who we are, Paul thought. There's concealment in his voice. "I am Stilgar the Fremen," the tall man said. "Does that speed your tongue, boy?" It has the same voice, Paul thought. And he remembered the council was this man seeking the body of a friend slain by the Harkonnens. "I know you, Stilgar," Paul said. "I was with my father in council when you came for the water of your friend. You took away with you my father's man, Duncan Idaho, in exchange of friends. And Idaho abandoned us to return to his duke," Stilgar said. Jessica heard the shading of disgust in his voice, held herself prepared for attack. The voice from the rocks above them called, "We waste time here still." "This is the Duke's son," Stilgar barked. "He's certainly the one Liet told us to seek. But a child still." The Duke was a man, and this lad used a thumper. Stilgar said. "That was brave crossing he made in the path of Shahulud." And Jessica heard him excluding her from his thoughts. Had he already passed sentence? We haven't time for the test, the voice above protested. Yet he could be the Lisan al-Gaib, Stilgar said. He's looking for an omen, Jessica thought. But the woman, the voice above them said. Jessica ready yourself anew. There had been death in that voice. Yes, the woman, Stilgar said, and her water. You know the law, said the voice from the rocks. Ones who cannot live with the desert. Be quiet, Stilgar said. Times change. Did Liet command this? Asked the voice from the rocks. You heard the voice of the Selago, Jamis, Stilgar said. Why do you press me? And Jessica thought, Selago. The clue of the tongue opened wide avenues of understanding. This was the language of Ilman Feig. And Selago meant but. And bat. A small flying mammal. Voice of Selago. They had received a trans message to seek all in herself. But I remind you of your duties, friend Stilgar, said the voice above them. My duty is the strength of the tribe, Stilgar said. That is my only duty. I need no one to remind me of it. This man-child interests me. He is full-fleshed. He has lived on much water. He has lived away from the father's son. He is not the eyes of the Ebad. He does not speak or act like a weakling of the Pans. Nor did his father. How can this be? We cannot stay out here all night arguing, said the voice from the rocks. If a patrol, I will not tell you again, Jamis, to be quiet, Stilgar said. The man above remained silent, but Jessica heard him moving, crossing by a leap over a defile and working his way down to the basin floor on their left. The voice of the Selago suggested there be value to us in saving you two, Stilgar said. I can see possibility in this strong boy man. He is young and can learn, but what of yourself, woman? He stared at Jessica. I have his voice and pattern registered now, Jessica thought. I could control him with a word, but he's a strong man. Worth much more to us than unblinded. Worth much more to us unblinded than with full freedom of action. We shall see. I am the mother of this boy, Jessica said. In part, his strength, which you admire, is the product of my training. The strength of a woman can be boundless, Stilgar said. Certain it is a reverend mother. Are you a reverend mother? For the moment, Jessica put aside the implications of the question, answered truthfully, No. Are you trained in the ways of the desert? No, but may consider my training valuable. We make our own judgments on value, Stilgar said. Every man has the right to his own judgments, she said. It is well you see the reason, Stilgar said. We cannot dally here to test you, woman. Do you understand? We did not want your need to plague us. I will take the boy man, your son, and he shall have my countenance sanctuary in my tribe. But for you, woman, you understand there is nothing personal in this. It is the rule. Istishla in the general interest. Is that not enough? Paul took a step forward. What are you talking about? Stilgar flicked a glance across Paul, but kept his attention on Jessica. Unless you've been deep trained from childhood to live here, you would bring destruction onto an entire tribe. It is the law, and we can't carry useless Jessica's motion as a slumping, deceptive faint to the ground. It was the obvious thing for a weak outworlder to do, and the obvious slows an opponent's reactions. It takes an instant to interpret a known thing when that thing is exposed to something unknown. She shifted as she saw his right shoulder drop to bring a weapon within the folds of his robe to bear on her new position. A turn, a slash of her arm, a whirling of mingled robes, and she was against the rocks with the man helpless in front of her. At his mother's first movement, all back 2 steps. As she attacked, he dove for the shadows. A bearded man rose up in his path, half crouched, lunging forward with a weapon in one hand. Paul took the man beneath the sternum with a straight hand jab, sidestepped, and chopped the base of his neck, relieving him of the weapon as he fell. Then Paul was into the shadows, scrambling upward among the rocks, the weapon tucked into his waist sash. He had recognized it in spite of its unfamiliar shape, a projectile weapon. And that said many things about this place. Another clue that shields were not used here. They will concentrate on my mother and that Stilgar fellow. She can handle him. I must get to a safe vantage point where I can threaten them and give her time to escape. There came a chorus of sharp spring clicks from the basin. Projectiles running off the rocks around him. One of them flicked his robe. He squeezed around the corner of the rocks, found himself in a narrow vertical crack, began inching upward, his back against one side, his feet against the other. Slowly, as silently as he could. The roar of Stilgar's voice echoed up to him. "Get back, you worm-headed lice! She'll break my neck if you come near." A voice out of the basin said, "The boy got away still. Where are we?" "Of course he got away, you sandbrained..." "Easy, woman. Tell them to stop hunting my son." Jessica said. "They've stopped, woman. He got away as you intended him to. Great gods below. Why didn't you say you were a weirding woman and a fighter? Tell your men to fall back." Jessica said, Tell them to go out into the basin where I can see them. And you better believe that I know how many of them there are. And she thought, this is a delicate moment, but if this man is as sharp-minded as I think him, we have a chance. Paul inched his way upward, found a narrow ledge on which he could rest, and looked down into the basin. Stilgar's voice came up to him. And if I refuse, how can you leave be, woman? We mean no harm to you. Now, great gods, if you can do this to the strongest of us, you're worth 10 times your weight in water. Now the test of reason, Jessica thought. She said, you ask after the Lisan al-Gaib? You could be the folk of legend, he said, but I'll believe that when it's been tested. All I know is that you came here with that stupid duke who... woman! I care not if you kill me. He was honorable and brave, but it was stupid to put himself in the way of the Arcane Fist. Silence. Presently, Jessica said, he had no choice, but we'll not argue it. Now, tell that man of yours behind the bush over there to stop trying to bring his weapon to bear on me, or I'll rid the universe of you and take him next. You there, Stilgar roared. Do as she said, but still, do as she says, you worm-faced, crawling, sand-breathing piece of lizard turd. Do it, or I'll dismember you. Can't you see the worth of this woman? The man at the bush straightened from his partial concealment, lowered his weapon. He has obeyed, Stilgar said. Now, Jessica said, explain clearly to your people what it is you wish of me. I want no young hothead to make a foolish mistake. When we slip into the villages and towns, we must ask our origin. Blend with the Pan and Graven folk, Stilgar said. We carry no weapons, for the crysknife is sacred. But you, woman, you have the weirding ability of battle. We only heard of it and May died, but one cannot doubt what he sees with his own eyes. You master an armed Fremen. This is a weapon no search could expose. There was a stirring in the basin as Stilgar's words sank home. And if I agree to teach you the weirding way, my countenance for you as well as your son. How can we be sure of the truth in your promise? Stilgar's voice lost some of its subtle undertone of reasoning, took on an edge of bitterness. Out here, woman, we carry no paper for contracts. We make no evening promises to be broken at dawn. When a man says a thing, that's the contract. As leader of my people, I've put them in bond to my word. Teach us this wording way, and you have sanctuary with us as long as you wish. Your water shall mingle with our water. Can you speak for all Fremen? Jessica asked. In time that may be, but only my brother, Liet, speaks for all Fremen. Here I promise that only secrecy. My people will not speak of you to any other siege. The Archons have returned to Dune in force, and your Duke is dead. It is said that you two died in a mother storm. The hunter does not seek dead game. There is safety in that, Jessica thought, but these people have good communications, and a message could be sent. I presume there was a reward offered for us. Stilgar, she said. Stilgar remained silent, and she could almost see the thoughts turning over in his head, sensing the shifts of his muscles beneath her hands. Presently, he said, I will say it once more. I've given the tribe's word bond. My people know your worth to us now. What could the Harkonnens give us? Our freedom? Ha! No, you are the Aqua. That which buys us more than all the spice in the Harkonnen coffers. Then I shall teach you my way of battle, Jessica said, and she sensed the unconscious ritual intensity of her own words. Now will you release me? So be it, Jessica said. She released her hold on him, stepped aside in full view of the bank of the basin. This is the test Mashad, she thought. But Paul must know about them, even if I die for his knowledge. In the waiting silence, Paul inched forward to get a better view of where his mother stood. As he moved, he heard heavy breathing. Suddenly, above him, in a vertical crack of the rock, and sensed a faint shadow there outlined against the stars. Stilgar's voice came up from the basin. You up there, stop hunting the boy. He'll come down presently. The voice of a young boy or girl sounded from the darkness above Paul. But still, he can't be far from... I said, leave him be, Chani. Spawn of a lizard. There came a whisper in imprecation from above Paul in a low voice. Call me spawn of a lizard. But the shadow pulled back out of view. Paul returned his attention to the basin, picking out the gray shadowed movement of Stilgar beside his mother. Come in, all of you, Stilgar called. He turned to Jessica. And now I'll ask you how we may be certain you'll fulfill your half of our bargain. You're the ones lived with papers and empty contracts and such as we the Bene Gesserit don't break our vows any more than you do, Jessica said. There was a protracted silence, then a multiple hissing of voices. A Bene Gesserit witch. Paul brought his captured weapon from his sash, trained it on the dark figure of Stilgar. But the man and his companions remained immobile, staring at Jessica. It is the legend. someone said. It was said that the Shadow Mapes gave this report on you, Stilgar said. But a thing so important must be tested. If you are the Bene Gesserit of the legend whose son will lead us to paradise, he shrugged. Jessica sighed, thinking, so, our Missionaria Protectiva even planned religious safety valves all through this hellhole. Oh well, it'll help. And that's what it was meant to do. She said, the seeress who brought you the legend, she gave it under the binding of Karama and Ijaz. The miracle and the immutability of the prophecy. This I know. Do you wish a sign? His nostrils flared in the moonlight. We cannot tarry for the rites, he whispered. Jessica recalled a chart Kynes had shown her while arranging emergency escape routes. How long ago it seemed. There had been a place called Sietch Tabr, and on the chart, and beside it, a notation, Stilgar. Perhaps when we get to Sietch Tabr, she said. The revelation shook him, and Jessica thought, if only he knew the tricks we use. She must have been good, that Bene Gesserit of the Missionaria Protectiva. These Fremen are beautifully prepared to believe in us. Stilgar shifted uneasily. We must go now. She nodded, letting him know that they left with her permission. He looked up at the cliff almost directly at the rock ledge where Paul crouched. You there, lad. You may come down now. He returned his attention to Jessica, spoke with an apologetic tone. Your son made an incredible amount of noise climbing. He has much to learn, lest he endanger us all, but he's young. No doubt we have much to teach each other, Jessica said. Meanwhile, you'd best see to your companion out there. My noisy son was a bit rough in disarming him. Stilgar whirled, his hood flapping. Where? Beyond those bushes, she pointed. Stilgar touched two of his men. See to it. He glanced at his companions, identifying them. Jamis is missing. He turned to Jessica. Even your cub knows the weirding way. And you'll notice that my son hasn't stirred from up there as you ordered, Jessica said. The two men Stilgar had sent returned, supporting a third who stumbled and gasped between them. Stilgar gave them a flicking glance, returned his attention to Jessica. The son will take only your orders, eh? Good. He knows discipline. Paul, you may come down now, Jessica said. Paul stood up, emerging into the moonlight above his concealing cleft, slipped the Fremen weapon back into his sash. As he turned, another figure arose from the rocks to face him. In the moonlight and reflection off gray stone, Paul saw a small figure in Fremen robes, a shadowed face peering out at him from the hood, and the muzzle of one of the projectile weapons aimed at him on a fold of robe. "I am Chani, Dar of Liet." The voice was lilting, half filled with laughter. "I would not have permitted you to harm my companions," she said. Paul swallowed. The figure in front of him turned into the moon's path, and he saw an elfin face, black pits of eyes. The familiarity of that face, the features out of numberless visions in his earliest prescience, shocked all to stillness. He remembered the angry bravado with which he had once described this face from a dream, telling the Reverend Mother Gaius on Mohayim, "I will meet her." And here was the face, but in no meeting he had ever dreamed. "You were as noisy as Shai-Hulud in a rage," she said. "And you took the most difficult way up here. Follow me. I'll show you an easier way down." He scrambled out of the cleft, followed the swirling of her robes across a tumbled landscape. She moved like a gazelle, dancing over the rocks. Paul felt hot blood in his face, was thankful for the darkness. That girl. She was like a touch of destiny. He felt caught up on a wave, in tune with a motion that lifted all his spirits. They stood presently amidst the Fremen on the basin floor. Jessica turned a wry smile on Paul, spoke to Stilgar. "This will be a good exchange of teachings. I hope you and your people feel no anger at our violence. It seemed necessary. You were about to make a mistake. To save one mistake is a gift of paradise," Stilgar said. He touched his lips with his left hand, lifted the weapon from Paul's waist with the other, tossed it to a companion. "You'll have your own Mao pistol, lad, when you've earned it." Paul started to speak, hesitated, remembering his mother's teaching. Beginnings are such delicate times. "My son has what weapons he needs," Jessica said. She stared at Stilgar, forcing him to think of how Paul had earned the pistol. Stilgar glanced at the man Paul had subdued, Jamis. The man stood at one side, head lowered, breathing heavily. "You are a difficult woman," Stilgar said. He held out his left hand to a companion. Snapped his fingers. "Kushti! Bakate!" "More Jacobsa," Jessica thought. The companion pressed 2 squares of gauze into Stilgar's hand. Star ran them through his fingers, fixed one around Jessica's neck beneath her hood, fitted the other around Paul's neck in the same way. Now you wear the kerchief of the Baka, he said. If we become separated, you will be recognized as belonging to Stilgar's Sietch. We will talk of weapons another time. He moved out through his band now, inspecting them, giving Paul's Frem kit back to one of his men to carry. Baka, Jessica thought, recognizing the religious term. Baka, the weeper. She sensed how the symbolism of the kerchiefs united this band. Why should weeping unite them? She asked herself. Stilgar came to the young girl who had embarrassed Paul, said, "Chani, take the child man under your wing. Keep him out of trouble." Chani touched Paul's arm. "Come along, child man." Paul hid the anger in his voice, said, "My name's Paul. It were well you... We'll give you a name, manling," Stilgar said. In the time of the Mina, at the test of Echo, the test of reason. Jessica translated. The sudden need of Paul's ascendancy overrode all other consideration. And she barked, "My son's been tested with Gom Jabbar." In the stillness that followed, she knew she had struck to the heart of them. "There is much we don't know of each other," Stilgar said, "but we tarry over long. Daysun mustn't find us in the open." He crossed to the man all had struck down, said, "Jonas, can you travel?" A grunt answered him. "Surprised me, he did. 'Twas an accident. I can travel." "No accident," Stilgar said. "I'll hold you responsible with Chani for the lad's safety, Jonas. These people have my countenance." Jessica stared at the man, Jonas. His was the voice that had argued with Stilgar from the rocks. His was the voice that was definite. And Stilgar had seen fit to reinforce his order with this Jonas. Stilgar flicked a testing glance across the group, motioned two men out. "Lars and Farouk, you are to hire tracks. See it we leave no trace. Extra care. We have two with us who have not been trained." He turned, hand upheld, and aimed across the basin. "In squad line with flankers, move out. We must be at the Cave of Ridges before dawn." Jessica fell into step beside Stilgar, counting heads. There were 40 Fremen. She and Paul made it 42, and she thought, they travel as a military company, even the girl Chani. Paul took a place in the line behind Chani. He had put down the black feeling of being caught by the girl. In his mind now was the memory called up by his mother's barked reminder. My son's been tested with the Gom Jabbar. He found that his hand tingled with the remembered pain. Watch where you go, Johnny hissed. Do not brush against a bush lest you leave a thread to show our passage. Paul swallowed, nodded. Jessica listened to the sounds of the troop, hearing her own footsteps and Paul's. Marveling at the way the Fremen moved. There were 40 people crossing the basin, with only the sounds natural to the place. Ghostly Felucas, their robes flitting through the shadows. Their destination was Sietch Tabr, Stilgar's siege. She turned the word over in her mind. Sietch. It was a Kobza word, unchanged from the old hunting language of countless centuries. Sietch, a meeting place in time of danger. The profound implications of the word and the language were just beginning to register with her after the tension of their encounter. We move well, Stilgar said. With Shai-Hulud's favor, we'll reach Eve of the Ridges before dawn. Jessica nodded, conserving her strength, sensing the terrible fatigue she held at bay by force of will, and, she admitted it, by force of elation. Her mind focused on the value of this troop, seeing what was revealed here about the Fremen culture. All of them, she thought, an entire culture trained to military order. What a priceless thing is here for an outcast duke.